Alrighty, how's it going, guys? Today we're going to be doing a video real quick on the AS Designs Super Safety Jakl Trip Kit. Everything you see that I've changed on this gun I ordered from AS Designs. Just thought it was the easiest option. This is my first experience with the Super Safety, but not with a forced reset trigger. Big fan of the Arizona regulator. That thing is a beast. But with the 3-position, I find it ideal to try to experiment with something like this and take the leap, and just kind of want to go through a couple of the issues I had ran through with mine specifically, and hopefully help some of you out that are setting up this fairly new kit that AS Designs have come out with for your Jakl. So real quick, just to preface, before anything, if people are watching along or not or whatever, the biggest thing that I can pretty much guarantee you that you do need for this to work, the easiest, is a Gen 2 Jakl, specifically a Gen 2 bolt. I'm not sure if the Gen 2 bolt will synergize with the Gen 1 version of the gun, but luckily enough, I had bought the Gen 2 just on accident, pretty much. I was, can kind of tell by the newer charging handle and a lot of the modifications. I know the Gen 1 wasn't a flawless version, but most of those things have been ironed out in this version of the gun. So we're going to put this lower aside really quick. Let me actually fold this guy up just to kind of make some space. We're going to break down the upper really fast and kind of go through how this guy's working out. So obviously got your recoil spring and your bolt. This guy comes out awfully big. So this is the Gen 2 Jakl bolt. They sell these separately. Main thing here is the original Gen 1 Jakl bolt is a flat face. This is how this will synergize with the trip kit. These need to be kind of cut. You could do this modification yourself if you want. They kind of specifically go into that. With the Gen 1 version, that you will need to heavily modify your bolt, and they'll try to replicate this front face of this bolt. Me, thank God, I did not have to do any of that, and kind of got quite lucky in my case. But yeah, so basically all this really is, you're going to get in the package your takedown block, your new takedown block, the trip itself, and some screws. I had opted, if we can get this angle right here, there we go, to go with the factory screws from the Jakl that originally came with this. The ones that they sent were quite short and frankly looked quite weak. Now these do protrude slightly into the upper, but the bolt clears them by a mile. There is no issue with using these whatsoever. You can Loctite them, clean them back up, and put them right back in, and they seat perfectly. They're flush and there's no issues. Yeah, but all this basically does is, if we can show this here, so you got your trip, this takedown block, the original Jakl one, would take up most of this space and would not allow the trip to completely come to the rear. So all this is doing here, you can kind of see all the way down there that you got your teeth up here. Let me see if I can get this angle right. Up here at the front, kind of see them bouncing around. Let me see. It'll be much easier to tell, but all this is doing is riding on this lower rail here, and moving with the bolt. Very easy to set up. This will drop in. In my case, these claim to have red Loctite on the back, but were able to be loosened by hand. No heat required or anything like that. So lucky me, I guess, or not, because it's kind of a little bit of a red flag that these came out so easy, but what do I know? So really quick, we're gonna get this guy back into space. So that's pretty much the upper. That's the most simple part to put in. New takedown block. Drop your trip in first, obviously, before the takedown block. This will button everything up, and that's pretty much it for the upper. Now for the lower, with the Super Safety specifically, I was experiencing some issues with this guy right here. Everything's said and done, we put it all together, and the bolt would be locked to the rear sometimes, probably one every 5 cycles of just, pretty, not rough, but aggressively cycling the gun. The bolt would be sticking to the rear and not go back into battery, and we kind of have to give it a little tap and send it home. but without, going into too much detail, made a little bit of room back here for our buddy. That way our lever can go back to his desired position. Obviously, you take out too much and you're going to be getting really close to your rear takedown pin. This is probably as close as you want to get. If not, you will not enjoy your time with this if you take out too much real estate back here. But one thing that I needed to do specifically, if you are experiencing your bolt getting locked to the back, this can be a turn off for some people, and I didn't really want to do it, but I had to take off some of our top lever here very, very slightly. With kind of taking it apart, putting it back together, I started seeing more and more progress with the bolt coming to the rear. Then was able to actually use our bolt lock and lock it to the rear. That way I knew, okay, this is what is causing this to get stuck. You can see it's kind of polished up there. Nice, shiny, smooth, keep these things lubed and whatnot. But that is exactly what caused mine to not function properly. Luckily, I hadn't taken it to the range and was kind of just experiencing that, working on it, and was able to figure that out. Within a couple hours, it kind of stumped us because, it was not ideal. But again, this will be the culprit. If you are experiencing any issues with your bolt getting locked to the rear, there's a 99% chance that you will need to remove slight bits of the top of this lever, and these are extremely replaceable. They're very, very cheap. They're on AS Design's website and able for purchase. But that was mainly it for me. So I think they had touched on, I had put in a support ticket. They got back pretty quick and had mentioned that it could be some sort of seating issue with the rear takedown block, that if this is higher than it is, obviously, because you're able to screw this in. If this is higher up than it would need to be, that could be causing the bolt to lock to the rear. But just make sure this is pretty much as flush as you can get. You can see there is no space whatsoever between the upper and the takedown block. And that is pretty much about it. So just to show a function test, we are going to drop this guy back together. So bolt goes in, obviously, bam, got your recoil spring. Put this guy up in the rear, get that down there, seat him in, and let me set this to the side really quick. So just for a quick function test, so you can obviously see your trip is occupying some space, and we're going to cycle the bolt. So trip comes to the rear. This is as far as this will ever go back. This is completely pinned to the rear. You can see your trip and the takedown block are working together. Bolt's going to come forward. You can see that little tooth there. That's going to start to go back up. Bolt touches that. Same thing, comes back. Little tooth there. There's your bolt. And that is it. That is how the operation of the kit itself works. So I'm not going to do that. We're going to move our lever to the front here. Try to piece this guy back together without knocking this camera over. Let's see, there's our rear, there's our forward. Obviously, you got safe, gun's clear. You got safe all the way out, all the way into the right. You're gonna be semi, so one function of the trigger. Reset. There's that. And then right in the middle, you're going to have forced reset. So if you want, there's bang, trigger comes forward, hammer falls. You can see our super safety is doing its job. And yeah, that is pretty much it. It's got a couple hundred rounds through it at this point, maybe slightly less than 200 on the super safety. This isn't something I take out too often to shoot, but when I do, it will be significantly more fun with this guy. But yeah, I would not stray away from the AS Designs. I think they are really the only people that are making a trip kit for the Jakl. Unlike, a lot of the SIG stuff that Parker Mountain Machine is making the trip bar to interact with Delta Team Tactical's forced reset trigger. And I believe recently somebody had put up somewhere that there's a super safety in MPX, but this is the method for the Jakl. As far as I'm concerned, there's not many other ways. This will work with the Delta Team Tactical forced reset trigger as well, if that will fit into your lower of your choosing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Enjoy, guys. Stay safe.